Today, we are going to look at the most important part of the product development journey. If you're a startup or you're a small business, you haven't done product development before, or you're thinking about starting on a significant investment in terms of creating a new product idea, then this video is absolutely essential viewing, because what it will do is ensure that you get the foundations of your project right. Because if you don't do that, then you could end up wasting a huge amount of money. So make sure you watch this video right until the end, because we're going to cover off some key things that people often get wrong. And if we get all this other stuff sorted out, then you are much more likely to have a successful product at the end of it that makes you a really good return on your initial investment. So let's start with an overview. We are in the top left corner of this infographic. We are looking at the early stage feasibility and how to set your project off in the right direction. Because after that, there's a whole load of other activity that's going to have to happen. There's going to be some sketch concept development, some styling work, market insight, prototyping, CAD development, finding a manufacturer. And if all of that is on the wrong idea in the first place, or the wrong solution for your idea, then you're going to waste a whole load of time and money. So without further ado, let's get stuck in to what that initial feasibility needs to involve. So there's various elements of it, and it really depends on what type of product idea you're developing as to where your emphasis is going to lie. But with all product ideas, market insights is critical, because what you don't want to do is design the product for yourself or for what you think your customers want, or without your marketing team or marketing person, if you're a startup, involved. You've got to get the marketing message for the product nailed as part of the product development journey. And I'll give you an example now of where we've worked on a project before and this has been a problem. So we worked on a novel shoe shining device, and it was designed to give the best high quality shine for a person's shoes. But what the marketing message wanted to be was the fastest way to shine your shoes. But those things were not communicated at the beginning of the project. And as such, we weren't designing something to be really fast, we were designing something to give that ultimate shine. Whereas actually, if the product development and the marketing messaging was aligned from the outset, then they would have had a much more quality product at the end, which was what people wanted to purchase. And so that is a critical lesson to learn. And that really needs to be set out from the beginning. And also, then it can be tested through the product development journey, so you make sure that what you're developing and the messages then that your marketing team are going to come up with around that product are resonating with your target market. And if we can nail all of that, then you take out one of the biggest risks of product development, which is that at the end of the day, no one buys your product. Also, in these early days of the product being developed, you're going to need to look at your manufacturing feasibility, your technical feasibility, and you may also want to do an innovation workshop with your in-house team or bringing in some outside support to make sure that the solutions you're coming up with are the best that they can be. And again, let me give you another example. A client came to us with the problem of how to make cyclists more visible to motorists. And his initial idea for that was a net of LED lights that you stretched over a rucksack. Now that's one solution. It would have made the cyclist more visible. There was nothing wrong with that. But we looked at a range of different options for it and eventually came up with this X structure that was a lot easier to get onto the rucksack. It was a lot more cost effective in terms of manufacturing, a lot more striking in terms of the aesthetic. It was just a different solution that gave an outcome that was right for the project. It gave the same outcome. The cyclist is more visible, but there were lots of other benefits for doing it this way. And that's why you really need to look at lots of different solutions in that innovation workshop stage. Otherwise, you can go off in the wrong direction. And if you have to pivot your project much further on in the development, it's far more costly. If all you're doing is changing your initial sketches with a new idea, then that is obviously quite quick and cheap to do. If you've got to change a whole prototype to suit a new idea, then that can cost thousands or even tens of thousands of pounds to then make that switch in direction. So the key is to get that assessed very early on. And you might need to make basic physical models of 1, 2, 3 different concepts, and then you might need to go back to your target market and get some initial feedback from them before deciding on actually which technical solution you're going to then develop in more detail. Now, the commercials of your product idea are particularly critical at this stage as well. You don't want to spend tens of thousands of pounds a month developing something that is then too expensive for your target market, or is going to cost you hundreds of thousands of pounds in unnecessary tooling to set up for production. So again, that needs to be assessed at this early stage. Pattern searching might be something else you need to look at. You don't want to end up standing on other people's toes and ending up with infringement issues. And once you've looked at all of these things, then what you can really do is define a really tight project brief, because you'll know exactly what your marketing message is. You'll know exactly what your target price point needs to be. You'll know what technology you're going to use to develop the right solution. And then with that project brief, that's the time where you can really start to invest in developing the idea, but knowing that you're going to get a product out at the end of it, which is significantly de-risked compared with if you just cracked on with development without doing all these critical things. Now, do make sure you watch my next video. It's all about the next phase of product development, which is the concept work and the sketching and some initial styling. This is the bit that gets really exciting, that people really look forward to. So do check that out now.